Welcome to Decades of Darkness. Today, we delve into a true story from 1902, a case of unimaginable child abuse and neglect that shocked a city and broke a judge's heart. This is the story of Hazel Orme, a 12-year-old girl from Indianapolis. When police found her, she was a tiny, frail form, described by a police surgeon as a wasted skeleton. Her once healthy body, which weighed around 85 pounds a year earlier, was now less than 25 pounds. She lay on a cot, her bright blue eyes wide open, but her mind haunted. When she slept, she would scream out in terror, pleading, "Please, don't beat me." Her life was nearly over, the result of what authorities called the most flagrant case of inhuman treatment they had ever seen. Hazel's suffering began a year earlier. Her parents, John and Belle Orme, allowed their daughter to move in with a nearby family, William and Kate Martineck, on the promise she would be well cared for. Hazel was supposed to look after the Martinecks' children, for which she was initially paid 50 cents a week, a sum that was quickly reduced and then cut off completely. What followed was a nightmare of abuse. Hazel was beaten terribly, her back covered in great welts and bruised places. She recounted being whipped with a razor strap that had a metal end. Her little hands were worked nearly to the bone from constant washing and scrubbing in the bitter cold, often scantily clad. Her bed was not a bed at all, but a pallet of 2 old coats and a quilt placed on 2 chairs. Her diet? She had little to eat but bread and water, and a shocking piece of testimony revealed a witness saw her picking scraps from a garbage barrel and eating them greedily, a stark illustration of her starvation. For 11 months, Hazel suffered in silence. Her parents, who lived only a few blocks away, only visited her a handful of times, a failure that led Judge Stubbs to charge them with criminal neglect alongside the Martinecks. The Martinecks, meanwhile, claimed Hazel was feeble-minded to discredit her statements, but the evidence of her abuse was overwhelming. Dr. Frank Morrison, a physician hired by the judge, gave the most damning testimony, asserting Hazel's emaciated condition was wholly due to starvation, not a pre-existing illness. On March 7, 1902, Judge Stubbs delivered his sentence, visibly weeping as he condemned all 4 adults. He ordered the maximum penalty, a fine and a jail sentence for the Martinecks and the Ormes alike. But the judge's true act of mercy was reserved for the child. He arranged for Hazel to be taken immediately to the Eleanor Hospital at the Flower Mission Institution, where she would receive the best treatment from kind nurses, free of charge. Hazel, initially terrified of hospitals after the Martinecks had convinced her they were places of cruelty, was soon contented and happy at the Eleanor Hospital. Under proper care and 3 square meals a day, she showed remarkable and steady improvement, both physically and mentally. A physician a week after her arrival declared there was no doubt of her recovery. Her greatest danger now, ironically, was being overwhelmed by the constant stream of well-wishers and sympathizers who called to see her. Meanwhile, the legal battle dragged into the criminal court as all 4 defendants appealed their convictions. The criminal court trials were plagued by a critical error: Police Judge Stubbs's negligence in failing to sign his own judgment records, making his original sentences technically invalid. This led to a furious criticism from the new judge, who was forced to send the cases back and order Judge Stubbs to sign the docket immediately. The jury in Kate Martineck's appeal trial found her guilty, but lightened the sentence significantly, from 30 days and a $50 fine to just 1 day in jail and a $20 fine. Jurors admitted they reduced the punishment out of pity for her own young baby. Her husband, William Martineck, later submitted to the court and received a similar sentence: 1 day in jail and a $30 fine. But in a final twist, the charges against John and Belle Orme were quashed and dismissed by the prosecutor. The law required the charge to be one of willful neglect, and the affidavit was not drawn correctly. More importantly, the court acknowledged that since the child was in the care of the Martinecks, the parents could not be shown to have been wholly in control and thus willfully neglectful. The Ormes walked free. Ultimately, the Martinecks received a reduced punishment, the Ormes were acquitted, and the court records were a mess. But the tragedy of the wasted skeleton of Southwest Street, little Hazel Orme, had a hopeful ending. She was safe, recovering, and finally free from fear. This case, which highlighted failures at every level, from parental neglect and neighborly inaction to judicial record-keeping, led to a profound public discussion on child protection and compulsory school attendance. What lessons do you think this story holds for us today? If you like this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to Decades of Darkness.